Welcome to the Skn Newsline newscast. I'm your presenter, Andre Huey. St. Kitts and Nevis is under a tropical storm watch, and residents are urged to put preparations in place. More in this report. Residents of St. Kitts and Nevis are urged to begin implementing their hurricane season plans for potentially strong tropical storm, as a tropical storm watch has been placed in effect for the Federation, according to an advisory from the Met Office Friday afternoon. The advisory noted that the potential tropical cyclone 7 is likely to become a tropical storm and affect the area. A tropical storm watch means that tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area in 48 hours. A warning may be required in the next 24 hours, the advisory said. Up to news time, the Met Office said the tropical disturbance AL95 is now potentially a tropical cyclone 7. There are still inherent uncertainties. However, the system is forecast to become a tropical storm as it nears the islands. At the reasonable worst case, the system poses a moderate threat with the potential to cause significant impacts from storm force winds, high seas, and moderate flooding, resulting in life-threatening conditions, disruptions to daily life, and damage to infrastructure. The Met Office is advising that to be safe, residents should implement hurricane season disaster plans for a strong tropical storm. At 11 a.m. Eastern Caribbean time, the center of the potential tropical cyclone 7 was located near latitude 15.3 north, longitude 49.3 west, or about 900 miles east-southeast of St. Kitts and Nevis, moving west at 21 miles per hour. Maximum sustained winds are near 35 miles per hour with higher gusts. Gradual development is forecast, and the system is expected to become a tropical depression tonight and tropical storm by Saturday. Formation chance to a tropical cyclone is 80% or high through 48 hours. According to the Met Office, the system will likely affect St. Kitts and Nevis late Saturday into Sunday based on its forecast track. At this time, it is most likely that it will be a moderate tropical storm when it reaches the islands. However, there is the potential for it to impact the area as a strong tropical storm. Notwithstanding, there is still enough time for it to shift into the north and spare the islands the worst of its weather, the Met Office said. Skn Newsline will continue to monitor this story as it develops. I'm Andre Huey for Skn Newsline. CARICOM in U.S. diplomacy lands success for U.S. vaccine access for countries of the Caribbean community. Skn Newsline's Glenn Bart reports.
The arrival of the first batch of Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine in St. Kitts and Nevis and several other CARICOM countries comes as a result of substantial efforts in diplomacy and collaboration. According to Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris and Minister of Health Akila Byron Nisbet, the US-made Pfizer vaccine is evidence of the power of diplomacy and the outcomes of unified approaches.
It is laudable that the government of the United States of America has exhibited such humane generosity in sharing their vaccines with the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. This underscores the close multilateral cooperation necessary towards managing the coronavirus pandemic, which is exerting devastating tolls on communities globally. It is with much sincere gratitude that I not only thank the United States of America, but also CARICOM and CARFA, led by Dr. Joy St. John, who led the process until the vaccines arrived today. I must also thank the St. Kitts Biomedical Research Foundation for donating a -80 freezer to the Joseph N. France Central Medical Stores, and to the staff of the Central Medical Stores for ensuring that we are able to receive these vaccines and keep them in a safe place until ready for administration.
According to Prime Minister Harris, the success of the efforts comes from the unified approaches in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic.
We are all working together for our people. Today again, we are reaping the benefits of unity at work. Unity in the country, unity in the region, and unity beyond the region. And I join the Minister of Health in thanking all the regional and beyond region hemispheric entities who have been in this fight against COVID-19 with us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Among them are CARFA and PAHO, and whose expertise, knowledge, experience, and network we have relied in this fight against COVID-19. And of course, the World Health Organization has been very critical in using its broad global network to ensure that results would come.
In April 2021, during a virtual meeting between CARICOM Ministers of Foreign Affairs and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, the U.S. government was urged to provide access to much-needed vaccines for countries of the Caribbean community. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
Is herd immunity still relevant in the COVID-19 pandemic? We explore that issue when we come back. Elliott's Funeral Parlor is the first licensed embalmer in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have a friendly and professional staff. At Elliott's Funeral Parlor, we offer a wide range of packages from $6,500. Homegoing service at chapel, locally made caskets, tailoring of outfit for deceased of your choice, wake, overnight with slideshow, funeral, death announcement, obituary, booklets, family pin-ons, memorial books, preparation of funeral arrangements, wreath, fresh and artificial. For further information, call 469-3298, 664-2007 or 660-0186. Elliott's Funeral Parlor in Gingerland, Nevis. Dedicated to those we serve.
When you need electronics or appliances, find just what you want quickly in one location. Yes, everything's under one roof. Only at Smart Electronics. We have tons of name brands, amazing service, and easy layaway plans. Summer is just around the corner, and we will save you the hassle of walking around town or going to St. Martin. We have everything you need right here in St. Kitts, so don't get confused and go different places. We are located at Port Zonte opposite the food court. Visit us today, or if you have any questions, you can call 466-4271. Smart Electronics, way to live a smart life. Terms and conditions apply.
Where will we go when the quarantine thing done and everybody touch?
Are you ready to create high-performing TV commercials?
Ready.
Ready. Ready.
Create and tell compelling stories? Reach your target audience? And build brand awareness? Our strategies and execution will provide for your desired outcome and clearly represent your brand. Visit us at www.madebyopen.com and get started on your creative video commercial today. Lights, camera, Open Interactive.
Auto Plus Car Wash, located on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Bring your car to Auto Plus Car Wash to remove water stains, wiper marks. Get your doors, roof panel cleaned, seat floor mats, buffing, headlights, and engine wash. You get quality service at the best price at Auto Plus Car Wash. They really care for your car. Call 765-5140 or visit them on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Auto Plus Car Wash, where the service is number one. Welcome back. Virulent variants of the COVID-19 virus, as well as other factors, has stunted the concept of herd immunity in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Glenn Bart reports.
As the transmissibility of the COVID-19 virus increases through more potent strains, health authorities admit that reaching a specific point of herd immunity might not be possible with this virus. Scientists looking into the issues of arriving at herd immunity, previously set at about 70% of the adult population, are now having to change the data modeling, mainly as a result of three factors. 1. There is still a high level of vaccine hesitancy. 2. Vaccines for children are still in the main unavailable. And 3. the continuing emergence of more virulent strains of COVID-19 changes the dynamics of reaching herd immunity. In a recent NEOC COVID-19 briefing, Medical Chief of Staff Dr. Cameron Wilkinson, who is a key member of the COVID-19 Health Emergency Operations Center, explains why reaching the so-called herd immunity is no longer a practical goal.
The whole concept of reaching herd immunity, it's changing, and I'm sure that you have been hearing me speaking recently of having a significant proportion of the population vaccinated, because the original threshold was set at 70%. But with the development of new variants that are more transmissible, that threshold increases. And every time a new variant comes out that is more transmissible, the number will be moved further upwards. And so there are a number of reasons to why reaching herd immunity in a number of populations might not be possible. Because one, with the development of the variants, as I said, two, vaccine hesitancy, where it might be impossible for you to get to the population coverage that you want because of vaccine hesitancy, and the fact that children themselves cannot be covered. And so most persons are looking to see if they can get as many persons who can be vaccinated, and that threshold can be up to 90%.
The recent arrival of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine from the United States will enable St. Kitts and Nevis to achieve higher levels of vaccination against the COVID-19 virus. Glenn Bard reporting for Skn Newsline.
3 prisoners who escaped custody last month only to be quickly caught and arrested have now been charged. More in this report. 3 prisoners have been charged for the offence of escaping lawful confinement from Her Majesty's Prison. Estevan Lawrence of St. Peter's, LaShawn Hendrickson of Ponds Extension, and Jonathan Rollins of Newtown were charged for the offence, which they committed on July 24, 2021. Hendrickson and Lawrence received an additional charge for the offence, which they also committed on July 1st. The charges were laid following an investigation into the matter by the Criminal Investigation Department of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. I'm Andre Huey reporting for Skn Newsline. When we come back, news from across the Caribbean.
The Skn Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
Open Interactive, a full-service creative agency based in St. Kitts and Nevis and serving the Eastern Caribbean. We believe in building content that widens reach, deepens engagement, and ultimately provides lasting solutions. In an era of copy and paste, where anyone can create content, few do it well, and even fewer aim to be exceptional. We do. We combine the best of our creative talents with our expertise in media and technology to elevate brands just like yours. At Open Interactive, we create designs that speak more than 1,000 words, campaigns that impact, and solutions that connect to your core audiences. We always deliver that added distinction, that extra spark to boost your brand. Committed, proven, and creative. We are Open Interactive.
It's the new and improved Skn Newsline Android mobile app. With the Skn Newsline app, you can watch your news reports, the Skn Newsline newscast, sports, special features, and so much more. You can also send us a WhatsApp or call us directly. Go in the Google Play Store, search Skn Newsline, and download the app today. The Skn Newsline mobile app. News on the go. Welcome back. For the big stories in regional news, we now have our Caribbean news segment. A 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. curfew, a ban on mass crowd events, and changes in business hours form part of the new COVID-19 protocols aimed at reducing a recent spike in cases in St. Lucia. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre outlined the authorities' plan to address the rise in infections in an address to the nation on Wednesday night. The new measures come as St. Lucia is set to receive thousands of doses of the Pfizer vaccine. More from HTS TV News.
As St. Lucia confronts what has become its most challenging COVID-19 situation since the onset of the pandemic, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre signaled his administration's departure from his predecessor's way of approaching the problem. At the center of the new administration's COVID-19 control policy is the science. That's according to Prime Minister Pierre, who says medical experts and not the politicians will take the lead in the campaign to curtail the COVID-19 numbers.
We as a government wish to categorically state at this time that we have no intentions of going down the road of government mandatory vaccinations. We continue to encourage our citizens to follow the public health protocols and to get tested and vaccinated, thereby reducing the spread of the COVID-19 virus.
According to the Prime Minister, in his almost 20-minute-long address, education and compassion will form the bedrock of the engagement of the public. Gone are the days of arrests and prosecutions. In fact, those who were prosecuted for breaking the protocols will have their criminal records wiped off the books.
In support of government's policy of following the science, we shall be making a structural change to the COVID-19 command center and allow it to be headed by a health expert, not a minister of government or politician, as the law currently requires. We shall, in addition, decriminalize COVID protocol breaches. Persons who have been previously arrested, charged, and convicted for COVID-19 protocol breaches will have their records expunged. For now, we need to persuade and encourage citizens to comply with the protocol guidelines, not threaten and punish them to do so. I understand that for many of us, we have been called to do what does not come naturally, and so there must be compassion and empathy.
St. Lucia will receive more than 50,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine, complements the United States. That's expected to provide a boost to the flagging vaccination efforts. Patients at the Victoria Respiratory Hospital will see a change intended to make isolation less daunting.
The Ministry of Health will be holding consultations with service providers on improving the telecommunications and internet system at the respiratory hospital to enable more effective contact between patients, staff, and families. We are also looking with a view to repair faulty medical equipment that impact on the delivery of health care at the respiratory hospital. In amending the COVID protocols, we were mindful of the critical importance of the hospitality sector. We are all aware of the phased and managed opening of that sector over the last few months. This will continue as we work towards a long-term plan for the tourism sector. However, we are equally mindful that protocols must be applied across the board to ensure that there is a shared sacrifice as we all work towards the effective management of COVID-19.
The changes to the protocols outlined by Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre will take effect as of Friday, the 13th of August, and will be initially for 3 weeks. The curfew has been extended to begin at 9 p.m. Family gatherings curtailed and capped at 10 people, while in-person social events placed on ice for the next 3 weeks. Prime Minister Pierre warned that the COVID-19 situation is at a critical stage and urged residents to protect themselves and their families as St. Lucia seeks to control what is the greatest healthcare threat in living memory. Skn Newsline for the HTS News Force.
CNN's Matt Rivers speaks with Haiti's First Lady Martine Moïse in her first television interview since her husband's assassination.
So it has been nearly a month since Haitian President Jovenel Moïse was assassinated in his home. Now we're hearing from the only other person who was hurt in the attack and the only witness, his widow, First Lady Martine Moïse. In her first on-camera interview since the attack, she spoke exclusively with CNN's Matt Rivers about what happened that night and the questions that are still unanswered.
When gunmen stormed Haiti's presidential residence and assassinated President Jovenel Moïse, just one witness was there when he died.
Madame First Lady, how are you? Thank you so much.
His wife, Haiti's First Lady, Martine Moïse. Flanked by private security, she agreed to go on camera for the first time with her side of a story that's left her shaken.
You have armed security here at this interview. We've been asked and agreed not to disclose the location of where we're talking right now. You're obviously at least thinking about threats to your life. Do you feel like your life right now is at risk?
Yeah, it is. Because I wasn't supposed to be alive.
In a long conversation that switched between Haitian Creole and English, Moïse described in vivid detail what happened the night her husband was killed. It was around 1 a.m., she says, when the shooting started. It wasn't something small, it was the sounds of automatic weapons. Bullet holes still pockmarked the compound. At the time, she and her husband hid in their bedroom, but just minutes later, she says the door burst open. Gunfire ripped through the air, and at first, only she was hit. Face down and bleeding, she thinks about a dozen men ransacked the room, looking for something specific. They came to find something because I heard them saying, "That's not it, there it is," which means they found what they were looking for. She doesn't know what they found, but after they did, an attacker approached her husband, at this point still alive and unhurt, and got on the phone. She says that person called someone and described what my husband looked like, saying he was tall, skinny, and black. Maybe the person on the phone confirmed to the shooter that was him, and they shot him on the floor. The president was dead, and the attackers left soon after. Moïse believes they thought she was dead too. Critically wounded, she lifted herself up.
When you stood up and you saw that he was dead, did you say anything to him?
In my heart, I said something I used to tell him when he was alive. We are married for better or worse, and even beyond the grave. Her left side bleeding and her right arm shredded by gunfire, she's eventually led out of the house by police and comes to a quick conclusion. The dozens of security guards normally on hand to protect the president either let the attackers in or they abandoned their posts.
No.
There's no other explanation, she says. You're there to protect a president, and the president is dead, and you're nowhere to be found. Adding that she was amazed. Apparently not a single guard was injured. Moïse believes it's part of a much larger conspiracy.
At your husband's funeral, you said, quote, "The raptors are still out there watching and laughing at us."
Yes,
what did you mean by that?
Yes, they are. Because no one is being arrested yet. The people that they arrest is the people that pull the trigger. They won't pull the trigger with no orders. So the main character that we need is the people that paid for that and the people that gave the order.
And you think that that person or persons has not yet been arrested?
Oh, no.
The official investigation has led to the arrest of more than 40 suspects, but has still not provided a motive for the president's killing or identified a mastermind behind it all. That has left a vacuum. Haiti flooded with theories about who killed a president who at the time of his death was an embattled, largely unpopular leader. Even still, for his widow, this was an unimaginable ending.
I never thought that the level of hate ever existed in the country.
You never thought this could happen?
No.
Because your husband did have a lot of enemies.
Yes, he did. But I didn't know that they hated that much to kill him.
And you know, we asked Martine Moise, are you confident in the investigation that is ongoing on the island right now? And she basically said no. And she specifically said that she wants U.S. investigators already involved in this investigation to continue, even ramp up their participation. And she also is specifically calling for the UN to create a special investigative tribunal to investigate the assassination of her husband, much like they did back in the mid-2000s after the assassination of Lebanon's prime minister. Basically what she is saying there is that she does not trust this investigation unless foreign investigators are involved, because if they're not, she doesn't feel the truth will ever truly be found out. Matt Rivers, CNN, Miami.
Thousands of U.S. troops are headed back to Afghanistan to help with emergency evacuations in Kabul as the Taliban retakes major cities. More in this report from Al Jazeera.
It was just a month ago that the top U.S. general in Afghanistan returned to the United States, his mission apparently over. Since then, the Taliban has made huge gains throughout Afghanistan, and now the U.S. is redeploying troops to assist in the evacuation of American nationals and Afghans who worked with the U.S.
This is a temporary mission with a narrow focus. As with all deployments of our troops into harm's way, our commanders have the inherent right of self-defense, and any attack on them can and will be met with a forceful and an appropriate response.
3,000 troops will arrive at Kabul airport in the next 24 to 48 hours. A support team of another 1,000 is being sent to Qatar to process the single immigrant visas that are being given to Afghan personnel. Yet another brigade is being deployed to Kuwait to operate as a quick reaction force should the U.S. Embassy in Kabul come under threat. But the State Department dismisses reports that the embassy may close.
My response to that is that's not true. This is not a full evacuation.
The UN Secretary General in New York has expressed great concern about the situation, but still holds out hope for a diplomatic resolution.
We are continuing to engage with the Taliban in Doha. I mean, we are continuing to believe that there is a political solution that can be had. This doesn't mean that we are also blind to what is going on on the ground. We are not blind to the suffering of the civilians who are caught in crossfire in urban environments.
And the U.S. president insists it's Afghans who must deal with the situation, saying he does not regret his decision to withdraw U.S. forces.
Afghan leaders have to come together. We lost thousands, lost death and injury, thousands of American personnel. They've got to fight for themselves, fight for their nation.
But ironically, with the latest deployments, the American presence will be back to the same level as it was for the past 2 years of the U.S.'s longest-running war. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, Washington.
There is a potential victory for Britney Spears in her battle against court-ordered measures that she says have been used to abuse her. The singer's case has shed light on conservatorships in the United States, including how difficult they are to remove. Al Jazeera's Katia Lopez-Hodeyan reports.
After months of public pressure, Jamie Spears says he will step down as conservator of his daughter Britney Spears' estate. For more than a decade, courts have allowed him and others to control the singer's money, career, and much of her life after she suffered a series of mental breakdowns. But allegations of abuse have followed. The 39-year-old told the judge she's been drugged, forced to perform, and prevented from having more children. She also accused her previous legal team of working against her interests. Fans have run an increasingly vocal online campaign, Free Britney.
For a long time, one of the most problematic aspects of this case has been that she hasn't been able to select her own attorney. And I don't think that the attorney she had previous to this, actually I know that he hasn't been advocating for her interests, because we know that Britney has asked him multiple times to get out of this. And apparently he never told her how to do that.
I once again want to thank Britney Spears for her courage.
The case has brought attention to conservatorships in the U.S. Critics say the legal guardianship measures are open to abuse, and terminating a conservatorship isn't simple.
To get out of it, you need to then prove to the court, I've regained my capacity. I've been in therapy, I've been taking medication, I've worked on myself, and now I'm able to make these decisions. So it's not just standing up and saying, I want to be out. It's proving to the court that you're ready to be out.
There's no timeline for when Britney's father will step down. He denies any wrongdoing, and he's calling for another conservator to take his place. The singer's fans say it's a step in the right direction, but the battle, they argue, is far from over. Katia Lopez-Odoyan, Al Jazeera.
Switching to some football news now, Reggae Boy forward Leon Bailey says he's not concerned about the physical demands of the English game. Bailey signed a 5-year deal with the Premier League club Aston Villa on Tuesday and says he's prepared for the next chapter of his career. The move ends his 4-year spell with Bayer Leverkusen in the German Bundesliga, where he scored 39 goals in 156 appearances.
It doesn't play on my mind. You know, I've always been a player who is very dominant, regardless of my opponent. That's how I was built. That's how Phoenix built all the young players. So we have no fear, regardless. We've been playing against older people since we were very young. So, you know, we're grown to be fearless. So I don't have that on my mind. Only thing that's on my mind is that I'm going there to destroy and continue waving the flag high.
Bailey will be eligible for selection for Aston Villa's first game of the season on August 14 against fellow Reggae Boy Andre Gray and Watford. The 5-year deal will tie him to the Birmingham-based club until the summer of 2026.
And that will do it for this edition of the Skn Newsline newscast. For more stories, log on to our website, www.sknewsline.com. From all of us here at Skn Newsline and Channel 95, I'm Andre Huey. Thank you for watching.